Hello everyone, let's subscribe to Relationship Stories before we forget. You won't want to miss what's coming up next. Today's story: a loving husband blindsided by betrayal, a wife who thought the grass was greener, and the shocking consequences of a choice that changed everything. What happens when the fantasy ends and reality comes crashing down? Stay tuned to find out how one man's heartbreak leads to an unexpected ending.
Jared watched from the doorway, his tears rolling down his cheeks, as his wife of 23 years, Chloe, packed her cherished belongings into plastic storage boxes. She hummed softly to herself, seemingly performing a casual spring cleaning, while Jared's heart shattered with every item she put away. She was minutes away from abandoning their life together, leaving Jared standing in the ruins of what they had built. Part of him already despised her for the betrayal she had revealed to him just hours ago, but another part of him hated himself even more for standing there, sobbing quietly, unable to stop her. He supposed a real man, someone like her lover, Caleb Reed, would have reacted differently, maybe fought for her or gotten angry. But Caleb wasn't the one being betrayed. Caleb was the one Chloe was leaving him for, the one she was giving her heart to and starting a new life with in California. Jared watched Chloe, her indifference like a blade slicing through him, and replayed the past few months over and over, desperately searching for the moment it all went wrong. It had begun 6 months ago when Chloe's employer, a national insurance company, hired Caleb as an efficiency consultant. He was supposed to be the best, expert in restructuring companies, cutting waste, and all the other business-related jargon Jared didn't care about. Caleb's contract was for 6 to 9 months, and Chloe, as a department head, was assigned to work closely with him. That was where everything fell apart. Before Caleb showed up, Chloe had never given Jared any reason to doubt her. She was the kind of wife who got visibly hurt if Jared even glanced at another woman in public. She'd make her usual comment about how he was the love of her life and how she couldn't imagine being with anyone else. But Caleb must have been something extraordinary, because it only took a few months for Chloe to start sneaking around, for her to willingly give herself to another man. The day had started like any other. Jared had made reservations at Chloe's favorite restaurant, planning to surprise her that evening. Instead, he got a call from her after lunch, asking him to come home because they needed to talk. He rushed home, worried that something had happened to their children. Emma, who was in college in New York, or Alex, who was stationed with the Army at Fort Lewis. "Please sit down, Jared," Chloe had said when he walked in, her voice unnaturally calm. He sat next to her, his heart pounding. "Are the kids okay?" he asked immediately. "Yes, they're fine," she replied. "It's about you and me, and something I never thought would happen." With those words, Chloe dropped the bombshell. She was in love with another man, and she was leaving him that day. She told him, without hesitation, that it was Caleb Reed, the man she had mentioned only in passing until then. Jared remembered meeting Caleb once, when he had picked Chloe up from work. Caleb was handsome, flashy, with a confidence that screamed arrogance. He wore expensive clothes, rings, and a gold Rolex. Jared couldn't believe his wife would fall for someone like that, especially since Chloe was older than Caleb. She was 42, beautiful in her own right, and Jared had been certain she was immune to men like Caleb. But he had been wrong. Chloe explained that when she began working with Caleb, they felt an instant connection that grew over the weeks. She was sorry, she said, but she needed to start a new chapter in her life. Jared had pleaded with her, trying to make her see reason. "You don't know him, Chloe," he said, his voice breaking. "How can you throw away everything we've built?" But Chloe only looked at him with a cold indifference that broke his heart all over again. Jared was still standing there, watching Chloe pack her things, when he realized there was nothing left to say. She had made her choice, and he had no power to change her mind. He watched as she loaded the boxes into her car, her face devoid of any emotion, and just like that, Chloe was gone. In the months that followed, Jared struggled to find his footing. His friends helped as best they could, and his children threw their support behind him, but nothing could fill the void Chloe had left. He tried to move on, but every room in their house was filled with memories of her. Eventually, he sold almost everything they owned and moved into a smaller home. He needed a fresh start, somewhere Chloe's ghost couldn't follow. 6 months after Chloe left, Jared got a call from an unknown number. It was late in the evening, and he was just settling down with a beer and a movie. He ignored the call, only to find out later it was from a hospital in Sacramento. Chloe had been in a car accident and was asking for him. Jared hesitated but eventually decided to go. He needed closure. When he arrived at the hospital, he found Chloe in a sorry state, bandaged, bruised, and broken. She looked at him with tears in her eyes and whispered, "I knew you'd come, Jared. I've been such a fool. Please take me back." Jared stood at the foot of her bed, his heart heavy. He listened as Chloe told him how Caleb had turned out to be abusive, how he had taken her money and left her with nothing. She begged Jared to take her home, to give her another chance. But as Jared looked at her, all he could feel was emptiness. "You made your choice, Chloe," he said quietly. "You chose him over everything we had. I can't be your savior now. I've rebuilt my life without you, and I won't go back." Chloe sobbed, her pleas echoing in the sterile hospital room, but Jared had already made up his mind. He left her a check for $10,000, turned, and walked away, her cries following him down the hallway. 5 years later, Jared stood before Chloe's grave. She had gone back to Caleb after leaving the hospital, but their relationship had ended tragically. Chloe's body had been found in an alley, badly beaten. Caleb denied any involvement, and there was no evidence linking him to her death. Jared looked at the neglected grave, covered in grime, and felt a pang of sorrow. Chloe had made her choice, and it had led her here, alone and unloved. He cleaned the gravestone, whispered a final goodbye, and walked away. Snowflakes began to fall, and Jared pulled his coat tighter around himself. He had finally let go of the past, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead.
What would you do if someone you loved deeply betrayed you, like Chloe did to Jared? Could you ever find it in your heart to forgive them? Or would you walk away for good?